And he's Joe.
Hey,
Oh, that's why I said it right.
I knew we'd finally get it. Hope everybody's having a good Friday. I'm so happy it's Friday. Krista works for the federal government. It's been a long week.
Yeah, fun times. Wait, so you said I'm Crystal or you said
I
she's
did. I said,
Crystal?
I'm Crystal.
That's why it works. That's funny.
I had to fool my buddy Crystal.
That
It's
was
it's good to see
funny.
Crystal laugh. Let's
That
put it
was
that way.
funny. Yes.
Good to
Cheers.
see Crystal laugh. All right, we're gonna
Cheers.
what is that?
It's a smoothie.
It looks
You
like
don't even want to know. Yeah, I've
I was gonna
got
say it looks like grossness in a cup.
fruits, I got spinach, I got black molasses. What is it called? Black something molasses. Uh pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, chia seeds. What else? Almond milk, not that regular cow stuff. Almond milk,
Crystal's
cooking
gonna live
powder.
20 years longer than me, but my years are gonna be so much more fun because I don't have to drink that crap.
Don't knock it till you try it.
And I'm never trying it.
I
I can
cannot start
promise.
my day without one of these fun, fun, fun drinks.
Have you seen these 12-year-olds that are like the hottest thing in podcasting right now and
Mm-mm.
on YouTube? So these guys have a show. Let me see if I can find it really quick. These guys have a show where they
Poppy. I'm Jackson, aka.
this is great. So these kids have a show where they talk about food, but they don't know anything about food, and they're literally
Hmm.
like 12 years old. Have you seen them?
Well, I know there's another group that they try American foods for the first time, and that's funny. Like
Oh,
they're different, like British people or something like that. That's
listen to
funny.
these. Listen to these kids.
What do you boys think about school lunches?
Depends. I pack every day. I've packed the same lunch since I was in kindergarten.
It's always the same peanut butter.
Peanut butter and jelly, yeah. Yogurt, cookies, chips, fruit, and a juice box.
You don't get tired of that?
Nah,
Never.
it tastes good.
I usually do the I just buy. It's easier because I mean when I wake up in the morning I don't want to pack my lunch. I already have to eat breakfast, get ready, and all that stuff. So
And then if it's like something I don't like, I'll just buy like chips and like an ice cream or something.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Huh.
Why do we prep for this show?
To be
Crystal, you ever been to a
young.
national park? No, I just, I go, I walk around the block a little bit.
But then it's funny because then after I said no, you're like, but what about this? And I was like, oh yeah, I've been there. What about this park? Oh yeah, I have been there.
We didn't have to go anywhere though. We can go, yeah. So Crystal, what are you doing today? Well, I'm going to pack my lunch. Oh, what are you going to put in your lunch? Well, yogurt and sandwich,
Chips.
chips.
That was pretty funny because it is like that would be fun to interview like people that the packers versus the buyers, and then to be that young and that kind of pressure is like, oh man, I'm packing my lunch every day since kindergarten.
So great. All right, guys, we got 45 minutes.
Oh yeah,
So we're going to do this thing. You ready, Crystal?
let's do it, Joe.
Crystal, you're about to have a national park story.
Yes, in beautiful Arizona. No,
Arizona.
Tucson.
You're going to
I
have,
was about to
I
say
think it's pronounced
Tucson.
Tucson.
Tucson, yeah, in Tucson.
Well, guess what? Adventure Amanda has a story about the Grand Canyon. Adventure Karen shares a story about her now husband who worked at the national park. And Jane discovered some goodness at a national monument, which was super fun. We're going to talk Muir
That's pretty
Woods,
cool.
Grand Canyon, Yosemite. We got them all today. Nope, not Yosemite. Yellowstone National Park.
There it is. There it is.
Yes.
That was on the tip of my tongue.
And one writer wrote her favorites, and we're going to compare her favorites because Cheryl and I have been to 40 different ones. So, Crystal, we're going to read through this writer's favorites, and we'll see if the Joe agrees.
If the Joe and the Crystal agrees.
You've never
By
been to one.
I was gonna say by osmosis or by using context clues, it's like, okay, that's a place that I can get down with, or maybe it's not.
I want you to
And
spend that whole segment going, I don't agree. That's a dumb pick.
disagree. Oh yeah, thumbs down. I'll give a thumbs up or thumbs down. Or
Yes.
not. I would say like Yellowstone, the show, but they don't do that. That was the other show. That was Winter is Coming, whatever that show was. Shane.
The yes, the
Game of
Game of
Thrones.
Thrones.
Yeah,
Yes.
there we go. But
What happens at the end of this episode in every show,
you
Crystal?
read my mind. At the end of this episode and every episode, you'll hear our gear of the day pick. Well, it's in the middle. No, it is at the end. We give a teaser in the middle, and then
How long have you been
the
doing the
big
show?
reveal. The big reveal is at the end, only since the beginning of time. And so, if you're looking for best in class gear that's worth the price, head to our Amazon page at stackingadventures.com/GOTD, stands for Gear of the Day. You'll help the show and you'll help yourself adventure better and for less money.
And the music comes up, the music goes down. Welcome back to the Stacking Adventures podcast. This is a show where every traveler has a story, Crystal, and we're going to hear a lot of our adventure stories today. I can't wait.
And I also like hearing stories from the horse's mouth, not calling people horses. I'm not a horse. Joe's not a horse. Amanda's certainly not a horse, but the people we'll hear from today, we're not horses, but it is cool to just hear different perspectives. Like, I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I know you're listening, but we get tired of hearing Joe talk, yak, yak, yakety, yak, yak, yak. So it's good to hear other people's voices.
You can't stop. She can't stop. I'm sitting right here, just minding my own business. Okay, let's start off today with Adventure Amanda's story. Hey, Amanda.
Hello, Crystal and Joe. This is Amanda, and I am certainly an adventurer, both in heart and in action. Some of my national park stories are, kind of just normal. Went to the national park, saw a bunch of cool stuff. It was great. One that was pretty memorable for me was going to the Grand Canyon.
I'm gonna stop her right there, mostly because I want to talk, Crystal.
No. You don't say.
I was just getting a reaction from you. The
As you talk.
Adventure Amanda definitely is an adventure. You know where Amanda works? Amanda works in Antarctica, and I'm not kidding. Amanda was at a meetup that I went to in Des Moines, Iowa, and I was so surprised to see her there.
Oh.
And I immediately knew who it was because she'd shared on our Facebook group for Stacking Benjamins that she worked in Antarctica. Imagine working around penguins and
So
super
neat.
cold weather. Yeah.
Let's film from Antarctica. Let's go visit Amanda.
Okay, Amanda, we're coming to
Can
visit
the
you.
show afford that on the zero income?
We'll hitchhike.
Is that in the budget?
Hitchhiking definitely is. Can you see us standing at the
Exactly.
south end of Argentina with our
You're
thumb up?
like, yeah, they definitely want to rob us. That's an odd looking pair for you.
Have you ever wanted to go to the Grand Canyon before we get into her story?
Antarctica, hex yeah.
Antarctica, yes, but what
Yeah.
about the Grand Canyon?
Grand Canyon? I could look at pictures.
Oh,
I
it
want
is
to
so
really see
beautiful.
pictures.
When Cheryl and I went to the Grand
But
Canyon
yeah.
the first time, we our kids were 2. Our twins were 2 years old, and we were doing this trip because Cheryl was graduating from the program that she was in, so it was a celebration trip. And she goes, "We're going to the Grand Canyon. We're going to go to the bottom." And I said, "We're not going to the bottom of the Grand Canyon." And she goes, "It's my trip. We're going to the Grand Canyon." Cheryl has no idea how big the Grand Canyon. And if you've never been to the Grand Canyon, it is so much bigger and grander than you think that it is. So we park our car, and I've just resigned myself. I'm like, okay, we're all right. I just got to let Cheryl see for herself. And we walk up to the rim after we park our car, get up to the rim. Cheryl literally takes 1 second look and turns to me and goes, "We're not walking to the bottom." I'm like, "No, we are not.
Tell ya.
Not with 2-year-olds."
Yes,
Now, what did
2-year-old.
happen is we put the kids like on our shoulders, and we walked down it's called the Bright Angel Trail, just a little bit. We walked for half an hour down.
Oh.
And here's the deal. We had 95% of it, even after walking for half an hour, was still below us, and
Wow,
5% above us. We did a hike where we walked down for about an hour and a half with a friend of ours right at the end of the pandemic. And Cheryl and Jenna and I walked for 90 minutes down. And then it took us about 3 hours to get back up. And we made it about halfway down, walking faster, not having 2-year-olds.
Yeah.
We didn't make it halfway down. We made it like a third of the way down. It's so far down.
What time of year was it? Like, what was the weather?
The weather was really nice. It was a little bit cool.
Good.
So it was in the 50s, 60s. So I was wearing kind of like this smart wool that I'm wearing right now. It was really nice. We were sweating though.
See, I'm getting seduced by the steps as soon as you mentioned steps, because I do love a good day of 20,000 steps. So this would be up my alley.
I wish though, Crystal, it was more like a mountain where you went up first, got the hard crap out of the way first,
Right.
and then came down. But the Grand Canyon, you're in this damn hole, and then you look up and you're
True.
like, I got to go back up. I don't want to go back up.
What comes down must go up.
If somebody could elevator me. So if you've never been to the Grand Canyon, do the South Rim first,
Okay.
because that's where all the major tourist attractions are, is on the south side, and then go to the north side next. And what some intrepid people, Crystal, you could do this. They do something called the rim to rim. You get up at like 3 or 4 in the morning and you start hiking down, and you hike all the way to the north rim, and then you get back on your horse, so to speak, and you just keep moving and you hike back the other way. And you can do it in one day. Experts advise you not to, but it's like this cool thing that people do that is supposedly super, super fun. I'd love to do the rim to rim to rim. In fact, there are Facebook groups that I'm in that talk about how they did the rim to rim to rim, it's called. But anyway,
cool.
here is Amanda's story about the Grand
I
Canyon.
wonder if Amanda mentions that.
Would you like me to keep talking? Should I keep talking? Here's Amanda.
I went with a few of my friends on the way to Las Vegas, or from Las Vegas, I can't remember. And while we were there, my friends just wanted to stay on the rim, and it was so busy. It was the Grand Canyon. Everyone's there. Everyone's looking out at the rim. And we see this just side little path, and I convinced them to go just a little bit down this path. And I, for some reason, was trusted with the water and snacks and wanted to go a little further. So I kept going. I ran a little bit ahead of them. Didn't go very far. I went less than a quarter mile probably, and found this rock that we could all sit on that just looked over the entire canyon. The entire time we were there, there was no one walking by, no one bothering us. And we sat there and ate our snacks and drank our water. And it was so nice. I would say from that, my lesson is that even when you follow the beaten path, you can find a lot of serenity. Specifically at the Grand Canyon, I would never suggest not following a path. So it's kind of just how you have to do it there. But
there is a rule a guy told us when we were at Yellowstone. He called, Crystal, the 100-yard rule, because when you go to one of these big parks like Yellowstone, Yosemite, the Grand Canyon, the big super popular parks, Amanda nailed it. They are just packed with people. In fact, Mom's neighbor Doug and I talk about this all the time. He does not like going to national parks because they're so busy. He's like, they're beautiful, but I do these things and I feel like I'm on this escalator to hell because there's so many people on the with me. But this guy I met at Yellowstone said something which is largely true. Libby talked about going early, number one. Oh, yeah. So if you go and you do your hiking earlier in the morning, the park's going to be less packed. But number two is most of the trails, not all the trails, but most of the trails, there's this rule that this guy called the 100-yard rule, which is if you're standing at the rim of the Grand Canyon, you're going to be standing next to a bunch of strangers you never met and you never want to be next to. If you just walk 100 yards like Amanda did, you're by yourself. You got this amazing view. There's nobody around. You can't even really see the people up there anymore because you're 100 yards down the trail. So if you're annoyed at a national park, find a trail, walk 100 yards and see. And for the most popular trails, that's not the case. But for the vast majority of trails, we go 100 yards and you have it all to yourself.
I was wondering what she meant because no one bothering us. I was like, I hope there's not people telemarketing and handing you pamphlets about, have you heard of our Lord and Savior? And like, why are people bothering you? But now that makes sense because I hate crowds too. Not hate crowds, but like New Orleans, I'm not going on Mardi Gras. I want to go when I'm going to get good service, not when there's a ton of people there. So I can only imagine, like, for the parks,
We've
the times, yeah, they get busy.
we pulled up when Cheryl and our friend Jenna and I were there at the end of the pandemic. We went to the East Rim so that we could watch the sunset over the Grand Canyon, which is unbelievably beautiful, as you can imagine. But we go there, there's nobody there. There's one couple and they're down, 50, 75 yards. So it's perfect. We pretty much have this area to ourselves. This car parks right next to ours, and these two women get out and they're standing like right behind us. I'm like, really? You have all of this. But then the sun starts setting and these two women start singing.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh God, no. And at first I'm so annoyed, Crystal. And then I'm like, I don't recognize any of the words. And it's really beautiful. It is really beautiful. And we turned and we asked them, we said, what was that? And they were two Navajo women. And they were singing this blessing to the end of the day
God.
that was so spiritual. And I'm like, hey, stand behind me anytime.
Yeah, that just gives me chills. Oh, that's cool.
It was so good.
And you can't plan anything like that, it just happens.
It was so cool. And I was so effing annoyed
In a
until it happened. I'm like,
funny
okay, this
way.
could happen, whatever. All right.
Please.
So Amanda, I love that. The 100-yard rule, in effect right there. Let's hear what else Amanda has for us.
We went probably less than a quarter mile down, and it was so quiet.
Yeah.
If you do go any further, if you're trying to go any further, definitely plan better. We probably had 5 or 6 bottles of water for the 3 of us, like a liter each, maybe. And for the Grand Canyon, it's desert, it's dry, it's difficult if you're climbing. So you shouldn't go any further than a little bit, but it is a fantastic place to go. Also, I lived in West Virginia for several years. And while I was there, the New River Gorge was not a national park, but I visited, I want to say 3 or 4 times a year probably. And it was just such a nice place. My favorite hike specifically is, I'm assuming it's the same name, but it's the Long Point hike, which at the end, it's an in and out. It's a New River Gorge Bridge overlook, just this really big rock that you can sit on and just stare at the bridge. I'm assuming that it's probably a lot more busy now, but when I was there, you might see one other group going in or out right around the same time. But just about every time I took that hike, there was no one there.
The Long Point Trail, Amanda, I just put it into Bing, into the search engines at nationalparkservice.gov, rated 5 out of 5. So a lot of people agree with you that this is a top trail.
Well, and just last night, our Pilates instructor was telling us about either the or one of the national parks in West Virginia that there's a spa near it too. So her and her fiance, they went to that spa and then went to the park too. And she was like, she highly, highly recommended it.
Well, this will be the only national park in West Virginia, so it has to be new. It has to be New River Gorge.
It's some kind of spa near it or in the vicinity or something.
We're talking about one time we go out to Boston to visit my daughter. We're going to road trip and we're going to do New River Gorge because it just looks beautiful. This is huge gorge with this river that people whitewater raft down. It's amazing. Amanda, back to you.
In that area, my favorite restaurant is called Pies and Pints. I'm not sure if it's even there anymore, but it is a pizza restaurant with a lot of good beer and homebrewed root beer. And they had my favorite dessert, something like the chocolate peanut butter terrine. It's basically really thin layers of chocolate and peanut butter stacked up, maybe 5 or 6 layers of each, and just so chocolatey and peanut buttery and delicious. And their brewed root beer is fantastic as well.
If it is in Morgantown, West Virginia, I'm happy to report that Pies and Pints is there. You can find it at piesandpints.net. And oh my goodness, Crystal. Oh my goodness. Beer and pizza.
I know, because I was like, pie. We don't call it pizza pie from Chicago, but man, I knew exactly what she's talking about. But that chocolate thing sounds amazing.
I didn't at first. I was like,
Peanut
apple
butter.
pie.
Chocolate and peanut butter.
Back to Amanda. Well, I think back to Amanda. Let's see.
West Virginia in itself is just a beautiful place to go. But yeah, if any of these sound interesting to you, I would definitely recommend going and visiting for at least a little more than you expect. Thanks.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Amanda.
thanks, Amanda. Because when I drive from here to either Columbus or Chicago, you go through West Virginia, like there's a way to take 68, and that's the scenic route. And it's always a beautiful drive. And I've stopped once for the bathroom at a place that was more like some kind of a like off the road park, but I've never explored like how close I came to the park.
Huh. I just for people not with us on YouTube, I paused there because Crystal's
You
doing
heard
something with
the
her
shoulder
shoulders.
raise. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they heard that.
Well, the music's coming up, and that means we're at the halfway point, Crystal.
Oh, I know what that means.
What
'Cause
does
I'm
that
not
mean?
new here. I'm totally not new here. I am a regular. I'm an OG is what they called. So when we're halfway through the show, that means it's time for the road trip pit stop. So on the pit stop, you're always dreaming about, what's at the end of the adventure? How cool will it be when we get there? Are we there yet? Like, I just want to transport myself and be there. Yes, I like to enjoy the ride, but also, yes, I just want to get there. So our pit stop is always a hint at the gear of the day. And then you can also head to our website, stackingadventures.com/GOTD, and you can see the other gear of the day. So, Joe, what is our hint? And don't
Oh,
make it easy. Just kidding. Make it easy.
what do I do like Crystal? It's a thing.
It's a
That's what I
thing.
should do.
Person, place, or thing. There it is.
I just pull a crystal. It's a thing. Guess.
Person,
Guess.
place,
Nope, it's a
thing.
different thing. No, I'll give you a hint. It is very succinct.
It's a thing.
When we're talking about national parks. When you go to the national parks, you want no sweat and no shivers. This helps you. No
shiver.
sweat, no shivers.
A shiver. The shivers is throwing me off. No sweat. It would be hat, but hat has nothing to do with a shiver. No shivers. I'm supposed to give a guess.
Well, when we get back from
Get back.
hearing the sponsors that make sure this is free for everybody, we'll
Right.
hear from them and then we'll get Crystal's guess.
Okay.
All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, Crystal, our hint on the gear of the day today, no sweats, no shivers when you are hiking the national parks. You're out there at New River Gorge or at the Grand Canyon with our buddy Amanda.
You maybe one of those fancy pants man scarves. It's a scarf. It's
We're
a
talking about
man
stuff that
scarf.
I would wear.
Ascot. I could see you in an ascot on a trail in a park.
You lost me at ass.
Ascot.
You lost me partway there.
That's
You've
my
known
way
me
to
for
get
how
it
long? How many years have you
approved
known
on
me?
air.
Do I look like a guy that would wear an ascot?
Okay,
That's-
the bandana. It's got to be like a bandana or something.
Yeah, I
like
definitely am a bandana dude too.
right. You Crips or Bloods.
I actually did that once back in the 80s. I thought I was so cool. I wore this bandana and I also carried a boombox around like the local
my
fair.
goodness.
I was an idiot, a complete idiot, but I thought I was the
Oh,
babe magnet, Crystal.
one time I shaved the little lines in my eyebrows, and then my mom was like, "Are you in a gang?" And I'm like, "Have we met? No, I just thought it was cool. I'm not in a gang.
I could see Crystal in a gang where they're doing origami together. We're getting everybody together and we're going to do something.
Yeah, crochet off. Like those colors
It's
don't even match. You lose.
it's gonna be nasty. All right.
I'm
We will hear.
okay. What it is?
We can hear what it is. That's
Shivers. It's
enough
gotta be
guessing.
because it wouldn't be a shawl. I would say a scarf as opposed to shawl. Some kind of SPF scarf. All right. Yeah. Back to the show.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Yeah, you are.
No. Our next adventure is Karen. Karen wrote in our Facebook group, the Stacking Adventures Clubhouse. She said, "My husband worked in Yellowstone.
Oh,
He was 18 years old. He'd stop at the side of the road and look for a bear. He said there wasn't one, but everybody would stop and look with him because causing a traffic jam, that's what 18-year-olds do." It's so good. That is when you start going to national parks, Crystal, you'll see that you're driving along and all of a sudden traffic is stopped. And if it is a bear, there was one time at Yellowstone, actually, Karen, where there was a park ranger there. There were tons of cars. There was a park ranger. So we sit there for a while. I don't see anything. So I walk up to the park ranger and there's like 20 people standing around him. Generally, the park ranger's there to tell you to not get too close to the wildlife. But in this case, there's a lot of people around him. So he's talking to them. So we walk up. You looked across this, there was a valley and there was a river in the middle of the valley. And on the other side of the river was a ridge. And he's looking away. It had to be half a mile away. He's like, "There's a grizzly bear over there."
oh wow.
And you could see it. And the grizzly bear got up on a tree.
Oh.
And even from half a mile away, Crystal, I didn't want to come any closer.
Yeah, that would terrify me. They move fast.
I was like, well, luckily I didn't have to run faster than the bear. I just had to be
Oh, the
faster than the
slower.
100 other people.
The
That were-
slowest one in the group.
That's right.
I
That were
just have to be faster than that kid.
standing
man.
around I got this old lady. I'm
Dang.
sure the bear can get her first, but
Man,
but
oh,
so
man.
yeah.
That's
Karen,
just
that's
what I'm
great. And
saying
then
about being in the long line. So this is a driving trail.
well, it's actually funny. Just when you're driving around the park, any of these parks,
Oh,
there
right.
will be cars just stacked up parked. In fact, when we were at Glacier National Park, which is closer to where Karen lives, because I think Karen is from Montana,
Mhm.
there was this line of cars that was moving really slow, and there was a little black bear right next to the road. And so we go by it pretty slowly. One idiot got out of their car and everybody's yelling at him, "Get back in your car, get back in
Right.
your car." So we thought we're doing the
You're
right
like, but I'm
thing.
filming.
Yes. We are only like 25 yards away, but I'm in my car and the bear's along the side of the road. So we roll down the window just a little bit and we take a picture. That night we go to the ranger program, and the ranger goes, "There's some things you should never do. Number one is, even if you're in your car, don't stop right next to the bear." And Cheryl and I are in the back of the room, just slowly
Did he
moving
see?
down in our chair, hoping nobody sees us. Oh yeah, we wouldn't do that. We would never
Oh,
slow down. And he's like, "I know you're worried about the bear hurting you." He goes, "What we're worried about is the bear gets too used to being close to you. If the bear
oh.
gets used to being close to you, the bear is going to think it's acceptable to be within 20 yards." He goes, "So if you see a bear, slow down, take a look, but do not sit there next to the bear like Joe and Cheryl did, and roll your window down and click a picture. Don't do it."
Yikes.
All right.
Please post that picture in the Avengers if you find it.
That was such a while ago, but I will.
Was it pre-cell phone days?
Easy.
Like you
We
and
took our
the
horse
family
and
camera.
buggy out there Crystal's on fire today, making fun of me.
No, these are questions.
Adventure
I'm pretty sure
Jane
someone
says,
was thinking it too.
she's just
They're
the
yelling
voice.
at the radios. Yeah, they're yep.
Crystal's the voice of the people.
Yeah.
I'm just the voice of the people, Joe.
It's the people's will.
Jane says, "Earlier this year, I had no intention of walking through the big trees in Muir Woods." Muir Woods is what's called a national monument. For people that don't know, a national park has to be voted on by Congress. a national monument can be declared by the president. So there are generally things become monuments first, and then they become national parks later.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So if you're around a national monument, it could be one of our future national parks. But so Muir Woods is this. There's lots of redwoods, these big, huge trees, like 10, 12 feet across, just these huge trees and sky high, just beautiful redwoods. But Jane says earlier this year, I had no intention of walking through the big trees in Muir Woods. I'd hiked down to the far end of the park, along a trail from the state park, which was alongside of it, because it's along a cascading creek, and we'd gotten our first big rain of the season. I get to the bottom and I notice something strange. There's no people.
Wait,
Apparently
did we say what state this was?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Muir Woods is in California.
Okay, sorry.
It's in California, and it is just north of San Francisco.
Okay.
So, and Redwoods National Park is very close to there.
Oh, yeah, I know Redwoods definitely screams Cali. So duh. I should
Yep.
use
This
the
will be
context clues.
not that far from the Redwoods. But apparently, so there's no people
No
in the Muir Woods. She's there, Crystal, by herself. And this is very close to San Francisco. This park is
Okay.
never empty. She
Oh.
goes, apparently the main entrance was closed because of a power outage from the storm we'd had, but you could still hike in. So she'd hiked in from the back, and she found out from a friend later that day, another trail, she'd given directions to tourists on how to hike into the valley. So she gets Muir Woods all by herself. Imagine how awesome it would be to go
Yeah,
along
I
those.
cannot. Oh, that's cool.
Thanks for that, Jane. All right. Last thing we want to do today is let's open up this piece that we shared on our Facebook group. By the way, Crystal, do you mind? We should also share the results of our poll,
Oh,
because
yes.
we did a poll about what your favorite national parks are. And as we dive into some of the national parks, like we just did with Olympic National Park last week, over the next several years, as we dive into the parks, let's try to cover the ones that all of you adventurers really like the best. So this is from a publication called Wide Open Spaces, and was a piece written by Matthew Wilson. He interviewed one woman who went to all 63 national parks, and her absolute favorite national park is
Drumline.
Big Bend.
Ah.
Yeah, Big Bend National Park. And you know what? I think we said this when Libby Gifford was here,
Yeah.
but Big Bend is definitely, God, if it's not my favorite national park, Crystal, it's so close.
11 people voted. Big
Excellent.
Bend got 0 votes in our poll. Interesting.
That is wild. I did not vote. But I don't know if I would have voted for Big Bend, because I like so many of them, all favorites. What was the favorite?
So our top one was Zion.
Yeah. And Zion is the place where Libby and I talked about. You've got Angel's Landing, where you have that chain and you're walking out and you got 1,000-foot drop on both sides. And the chance of death is very real as you walk out to Angel's Landing. But you get out there, you got this 360 view of the park way below you all around, except this one little sliver of land. Beautiful.
That's crazy. And then Glacier and Acadia were the number 2s. Like they were tied for number 2.
I think Acadia was Adventure Mike's reaction when he heard that Libby didn't like it. So he probably voted 8
Pretty
times.
felt strongly about that one.
He wants to show up for Maine. Yeah, Acadia, beautiful. And we talked also about Glacier. Glacier, that Going to the Sun road, Crystal, you would love. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful stuff. All right. I think it's time for us to do the gear of the day and get out of here. All right, Crystal. My clue was no sweats, no shivers as you're out hiking the national parks.
Oh, yeah. So I was saying a scarf or some kind of like a shawl.
So it is exactly what I am wearing right now. This is called Smart Wool.
Smart.
It is very thin. I wear it a lot. If you hang out with us on YouTube, you'll see me wear this a lot over my t-shirts on colder days. But the cool thing is it's very thin. So it's about 45 degrees here right now. And I feel so comfortable up into the 70s. You feel comfortable. So
Really?
if it just is a little chilly in the morning, I'll throw this on. And then the cool thing is it doesn't take up hardly any room in your bag because it's so thin. And the cool thing is, like, I went to a friend of ours had a birthday party, and you know what? It doesn't look phenomenal, but it doesn't look horrible. It looks pretty decent.
Yeah.
So I just
Doesn't look like your normal bowling shirt.
that's right. Just sitting here. I think Crystal's taking out her federal government frustrations on Joe today.
No.
But so it is. In fact, it's funny. I got this at REI. The next time that we went back to REI, Cheryl bought herself one and I bought a second one. So I've got the black one. I've got the green one. So they look nice.
Yeah,
And,
that does look nice. That looks cool. It looks effortlessly cool.
yes, it is. And it's so comfortable. So it's called Smart Wool, and we'll put it on the page because throwing this in your pack is super easy, very lightweight. You know, it gets warm enough you don't need it anymore. It isn't like carrying something heavy around with you.
Right, like your puffer jacket.
Yeah, I mean, it gets so small. So anyway, Smart Wool. That's our gear of the day. All right, Crystal, coming up next, I'm going to talk, but all Crystal does is talk. And
Yes, she
next
does.
time,
My
Crystal's
ears
going to
are so
talk.
tired of listening. All Crystal does is listen. Her ears are so tired.
Crystal's been listening for a long time. So next week, Crystal's doing the talking. Where are you taking us, Crystal?
We're going to Thailand. And White Lotus just happens to be filming in Thailand too. So and then I saw they had a scene. I tried watching it, but I fell asleep on it. But they had a scene with the pigs, and there is this big pig that lives on Kato Island. So I wonder if they run into this big Bertha pig. Like she owns the night. It's so funny. Like the restaurants have a bowl out for her. They feed her. I can't wait to show you guys a picture of that.
Cheryl watched the first 2 seasons of White
Oh yeah, I
Lotus.
love that show.
I did not watch it, but she loved it too.
Me
I got to get caught
too.
up.
Yeah. Well, because of whatever resort they were at, for one, I think the Italy one like immediately sold out. Like for like the foreseeable future, it sold out right after because they stay at these fancy pants places.
I can't wait to hear about Thailand. It's a place that I've only been to the Bangkok airport.
Oh,
So have not spent any time in Thailand. So I can't wait to hear
yay.
about Crystal's Thailand adventure. All right. And you know what that means also, adventures, whenever we do a topic, we talk about the topic and then we do what we did today, which is we ask you, like Adventure Amanda, to share your story. So if you've been to Thailand, if you've got your Thailand adventure, call us at
stackingadventures.com/my-story because we want to hear from you.
We do. We love your stories, and we're going to have that in about a month. We also need your stories about Olympic National Park if you
Yes,
have
please.
any stories about that as well. All right. I'm Crystal.
And he's Joe.
I finally got you to do it right. And we'll see you next time.
Natural. Yes. Thank you for listening to Joe. Just kidding.
Oh my God, that was funny.
That was fun.
All right. I did not even see if anybody's with us. Is anybody hanging out with us?
I looked. Nope. I didn't see anybody.